Fargo build part 1. This is the current project we are working on here at the shop, and this beauty of a truck is getting this 96 P-pump Cummins 12 valve NV4500 with a 205 Chevy Dodge case on the back of it, because this truck actually has a set of 1 tons under it, passenger drop, so that is a Chev or Dodge diff, and a 70 in the rear, I believe. And we've got the mastermind behind most things, Ryan from King and Booty Fab down here, and he's also got his 3D printer down here for this build up and running. So we're going to be building some pretty cool little trinkets and stuff for this project. I can't wait to get this one started, so let's get into it. So first order of business for me is to get this broke down and stripped. This is all going to get cleaned up and painted. I've actually sourced some color matched Alpine green. This is Detroit diesel green. And the owner of this truck wants to go that color scheme with it because he has other Detroits. And if you look at this truck, there actually is kind of that Detroit colored green underneath this patina. I believe that looks like the original color of this truck. So throw a little bit of that green on the engine and it should look pretty skookum. And then we have first gen Dodge Cummins mounts, and we have a cradle assembly that I have used before in another Cummins swap. This is number 3 or 4 for myself that I have done for clients. But this time we are going to build a complete universal subframe cross member that will allow anyone to put a Cummins 12 valve in any old truck. If you've got frame rails, you can put our cross member and DIY universal Cummins kit in there. And they will just use these factory first gen Dodge Cummins mounts. They're super simple to source and easy to work with. So first thing I'm going to do is get this on a stand, break this all down, and start measuring some stuff up and get some paint on stuff.
Let this down a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we free?
We're free.
Okay, I'm gonna...
Come down.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's clear of everything.
Okay. I'm just going to lift the tip for you up from the jack out.
Yeah. There we go. Neither of us killing each other.
That's right. Pretty sure that has a dual disc clutch in it. So we're breaking this down just to get cleaned up and painted and all the good stuff, but we have come across it's got a nice dual disc, probably South Bend clutch in this with the big 1 3/8" input shaft. And I know that that's what it is and what I'm looking at because I had the exact same one on my 98 Cummins. That's a monster of a clutch. That's a big sucker. So that's a bonus. This motor's apparently got some jam to it. It's got ARP head studs. Apparently it's got injectors. It's got pump work, the typical 12 valve stuff. Upgraded turbo. Should scoop pretty good. That's a good donor.
Yep.
1, 2.
Yep.
From there. That's it.
Ready?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Bolts and bin?
Yeah. Back at it today. Good little head start yesterday evening, getting this all broke down. Got the manifold and turbo off. It's pretty much ready to go get pressure washed and paint. I still got to get the starter off, a couple more odds and ends, and then get it up onto a stand. Got all the crap that we don't need off of it, and someone else's hokey engine conversion mounts that they made. We're going all new and making a universal Cummins crossmember engine swap kit. So if you got frame rails in anything, they can go on. And Ryan's just about got that kind of finished up here. So that's all been modeled. That's an industrial engine, so it's a little different than the automotive 6BT, but we've got a nice little crossmember in there with the first gen Cummins mounts. And I'm going to start attacking this thing right now and gut it. Get that all out, start laying out the crossmember, and then Ryan is going to go at some of the sheet metal. He's going to get up here and fix a bunch of the rot that's in there and a couple other spots. Full wiring harness has now been added to this job as well, and a couple other things, but we'll get into that. And Ryan's going to have his own video up too of some sheet metal work. He's got a bunch of stuff to do, so check that out, King of Booty Fab. I'll link that video once we get this all figured out. Let's get at it. All set up on some stands, got the tires off and lowered, so we got some more working room. And then I've got it on the frame up there because this diff's actually going to come out. While we're in here doing this swap, we're going to do a solid hanger in the front with a track bar and shackles out back to help this thing steer a little better with that big Cummins on top of it, so it's not walking around all over the place on top of this diff. And keep on going. Day 2 of the swap. My phone ran out of battery last night, so I didn't get any footage of the engine and trans coming out, but we worked till about 10 o'clock last night and gutted this thing. This truck was a driver yesterday, and today it is gutted. Engine's out, trans is out, front axle's out, interior's out, seat's out, rear fuel tank that was behind the seat, it's out. Transmission tunnel humps out. We're going to pull all of this apart today, get the gauge cluster out and all the wiring harness, and start prepping for the Cummins crossmember that we're going to put into it. But it is ready for its new heart and drivetrain. We get the window out so we can repair all up there. Doors are off, hood's off. It's looking good. This is, yeah, day number 2 of the swap starting right now. So we've got everything, lots of transmission, transfer case, parts, pieces, stacked everywhere. But it'll all come together quick. It goes quick now until the last details that take the longest. Engine and transmission into this truck will be a quick job. But after that is when it really starts the heavy work of all the wiring, plumbing, all that stuff. It takes you, the last 10% always takes 90% of the time. So let's get at it. That's the block done? Yeah. Okay, pull up my block.
What?
Block is done.
Watch this. Just set it somewhere safe because it's only jacked. As Dustin carries around the 6BT block.
Oh, I want to get a picture of you holding the fucking thing tonight.
Right?
That's my plan.
Cylinder head. Sure.
Normally you need a fucking cherry picker just to take the head off too. I went to go pick this up like it was gonna be heavy.
I know, it's fucking awesome. This is the front. No, you got it right.
That's right.
You got it right. Alright, so I'm thinking if I go through that hole, I can literally loop right through there. Oh, don't have to do that. Further down. Get the other one on the other side, Austin.
Right here, the stop fucking cylinder. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, shit.
World's first. One man, 6 PT, fucking walkout.
Dude.
You're in the way of the camera.
Oh, is it still filming?
Yep.
Yeah.
back at it today. Yesterday we had some extra help from Ryan's son Austin, and he got in here and cleaned up all the old bracketry and pedal assembly from all the old stuff that we don't need. We got the front grille and the bumper off too, just for more working room. And then you saw us assemble this, well, we made and assembled this full 6BT Cummins mock-up engine. So this is something that we have had on our hit list for a while. The files have been ready. We just haven't had the opportunity to actually make one. So there's our test one right there, ready to go. Pretty much one hand picked this thing up. That's impressive considering what a 6BT Cummins actually weighs. And then we're going to get on to getting the cross member in today, and Ryan's got that pretty much ready to go. So that's our mock-up dummy engine that you just saw me have on the bench there, with our universal Cummins cross-member cradle assembly. So that's going to be the universal DIY kit that you can put this motor into anything that has frame rails, and it is narrow enough that it'll fit square body Chevys as well, because we found out that those are quite narrow. So it is set up to be utilized in pretty much anything 90s and down, old school, or whatever you want to put it in. I'm sure you could make it work even if it was needed some modifying. I'm going to get that on the go today. Oh, and then Ryan's also got the small block Chevy and the LS mock-up motors too. So there's an LS. That will be coming later on as well. And all of this stuff will be for sale at some point once we get our website and stuff figured out. We've had some parts roll in. Full brand new harness. This is just a universal harness, but it's got everything you need in it. All the wires are labeled. They're not super high end, but for what you get, it's miles ahead of a wiring harness that's from the 70s or older in these trucks. We'll be getting onto that. Universal switch panel. We're waiting on battery cables, but I've got all the ends and stuff there. I got some sound deadening stuff. Ryan actually found this stuff, which is super cool. It's actually textured. So this is going to go on the headliner of the truck and a couple interior panels, and it actually looks like quilted. So this will be interior stuff, and then we have heat reflective stuff that's coming on the way still, and that'll go on the firewall. And then if you watch my last video when I hammered a battery cable lug flat, I've got the proper tool to do all that now, so we'll be doing all the nice crimps on all this wiring job. Second gen Cummins pedal assembly, that's going to go in there with Hydro Boost brakes. So this thing will be able to stop on a dime, no matter who's driving it, not have stiff brakes.
And half fits.
And exactly, it half fits. That's what I was just going to say right here. We found that the 2 bolt holes and the center hole on that actually matches that Dodge second gen pedal assembly. So all we have to do is slide that in, mark out 2 more holes, and the clutch master is going to come through right about there. So it should actually go into this truck fairly easy. And then at that point, the Hydro Boost and the clutch master will just bolt right into this truck. No conversion stuff needed. So that should work out pretty well. That's where we are at this morning. And get at it. Back at it, another day something. I don't even know what day it is right now. I just got back from picking up the Hydro Boost unit and the master that matches the Dodge pedal assembly from the wreckers. So I'll have full Hydro Boost in this truck, all factory components. Some more stuff showed up for orders. We've got two 16 or 12-inch E-fans. I can't remember what we ordered. We have to run E-fans on this because we already have to push the engine back through the firewall, I think 4 to 6 inches. And there is no room for mechanical fan in this setup. And we don't want to push the engine all the way into the bench seat. Getting onto some wiring stuff showing up more. We've got Anderson connections. So we are going to end up burying these batteries in a lockbox out back so they cannot be seen or stolen. We're going to run Anderson connections to the front and rear of the truck for winches. So that'll be where your jump start points will be from. And we've got this set of 1-gauge cables that we're going to put an Anderson connection on the end. So all you have to do is plug in at the front or the rear of the truck with those 1-gauge cables, and you can jump start this truck or anything else that you want to jump start. So that should work out quite well, but I'll show you all that when we get into actually mounting the batteries and wiring everything up. And then we decided that we were going to pull the dash out of this thing and the heater box to get better access and not have to worry about wrecking the dash with welding or grinding. Columns out and all the wiring harness. Like I said before, we're now going to add a whole new wiring harness to this truck because that is absolutely a rat's nest and a waste of time to try and patch in and work around that. Ryan started on some sheet metal. We've got this all cleaned up and exposed. It is quite a bit worse than we originally thought, but he's got some pretty cool pieces made for that. Here's his little test sample here that he's made with basically basic tools, box and pan brake, and a socket for the radius. But this is like a perfect match. So he's got a full length piece he's making, and we're gonna get that all up in there. And the cab is all cleaned up. There's the dash and everything all ripped out. Once we get this all dealt with and do some rust repair and stuff in here and then cut this out for the valve covers and head to come through, we'll build a new doghouse and firewall out of some sheet metal. And then this is all going to get wire wheeled, cleaned, painted, and all sealed up. That's where we're at. I'm going to get back at welding up that cross member, and Ryan's going to continue on with sheet metal. Here we go. Just going to give you a shot of this before I encapsulate this. But, so this cross member is fully boxed. This bottom cap plate actually runs all the way up inside and welds up in here. And then the top comes up and around it. And I've got this other plate that will box this all in. So that's a fully boxed cross member the entire way. And then I've just put captured welded nuts 1/2 inch up in the corners just so you don't have to reach way up in here and get these ones. You can just put them in from the side. This will end up having 6 1/2 inch bolts pinching this cross member to the brackets that come off the frame, both sides. And then that leaves the middle open for the stud on the motor mount to come down through it. So we still need to add a hole here or a slot for the motor mounts, but that'll be in the final files when this is all finalized and ready for production. But looking pretty good now. That's a beefcake cross member. That is going to be sweet. As I'm putting this together, I just want to take a minute to showcase some of our product. We have a whole product line of DIY bracketry, tabs, and all sorts of stuff. Everything you can think of, we make. But we have now got to the point where we've got some pretty slick tab and slots going on. Everything is keyed and open corner. Like you can't, this is foolproof stuff here now. But as you can see, it's got the keys in the bottom to locate the width. This is all located, gives you a full open corner, and then the keys are still weldable as well. But you can't put the stuff together backwards, even though I have it labeled. It doesn't matter right now. But that would drop into there, which makes the backside weldable. So you've got a good burn on that to lock those in. And if you tried to put this in backwards, like it doesn't even fit. So all the key locations are all made so you can't really mess this up. So that one keys into there. And if you tried to put this on backwards, it physically doesn't line up. So the keys are not centered on all the product, how we do it now. So back in the day, this is old stuff. This is version 1. Maybe hard to do this with one-handed holding the phone. But it is keyed. Hang on a sec. Let's see if I can get this set up here. Give me a sec. Here we go. That's better. So like I was saying, all of our old product is or was keyed, but it was just keyed like that, and it didn't give you anywhere to land a weld. So we've been going through all of our old stuff and updating anything new. We've got to the point now where this is pretty much our production key tab and slot setup. They key in nicely. It gives you a full open corner 90-degree weld, and even the keys at the end are recessed so that you can weld through that. It gives a nice finish if you want to blend it all out and not see any weld, which is what I like to do most of the time. It looks pretty slick, but you don't have to. So again, just showing you guys where we got, or what we got going on. Tab, slot design, it all drops in. Everything fits all up nicely. You can't mess that up. Finished up the motor mounts and cross member. I did go in and blend those welds like I was talking about. It just makes everything nice and sleek looking. And then I break all the edges and also in the holes. It's kind of hard to see, but those have a chamfer on them. Just a little tapered reamer bit. Same with these. Everything's just tidied up. You can see the little chamfer on all the bolt holes, and the edges are broke nicely. It just makes it nice to work around everything when it's all painted and installed. Same with the cross member. It's all blended out, so this is all nice and smooth. And the holes are deburred with that tapered chamfer bit. Can't remember what you would actually call that. Countersink. There we go. Ryan says countersink bit. Same with the spring hanger. It's just a nice finish. Beefy 1/4 inch solid spring hanger for the front. That's all press braked. Same with the edges, and then it's just one weld on the outside and keyed on the inside. I still got to clean up the pockets and stuff, but that's for the front leaf springs. And then on the engine bay side, we pressed up some 1/4 inch box plates. So these are going to get welded in, and then 4 1/2-inch bolts through it as well. 2 top, 2 bottom. And then those tabs are going to come off of that into our cross member that we've designed up. Steering box mount, someone has made this previous and it was just bolted through. So we're going to actually go in and weld all of this in to this front cross member. These two are going to get joined in here. And then on this side, I'll just make my own matching plate and box the rest of this. So the whole front section of this truck will all be boxed in one piece. And then same thing, this front cross member is going to get cut at the bottom of the frame. And then our spring hanger will go in there, and it's going to weld and bolt all of this. So the front of this frame should be reinforced a bunch and prevent any twisting that may occur. And then Ryan's got this piece made up here, just about fitted. Couple more adjustments to make, but we'll be getting that in. And then get on to all the rust repairs and the rest of the cab. We've got a spot here at the back in the 4 well here. There's a piece up on this side plate here Couple on the side over there. This fender is going to get cut out back to here where we got good metal, but it's all rotten. And then this side as well, it's pretty bad. Someone started to do a repair back there, but failed to continue up here. But this is all old repair. Look at this. This is all brazed. Pretty cool finding old stuff like that. That's cool. That's where we're at. I'm going to get some sparks flying and make some more stuff. Morning of day 4 or 5, depending on who's counting. Yesterday we got the engine cross member all in there. We had to make a preliminary cut to slide the dummy motor in to see where we were going to be. And then we made a large hole to fit everything. So the manifold comes at like a 45 at the back there. We're going to have to move the vents for the defrost on the factory heater box, but that's not really a big deal. We're going to angle that top plate. That's still going to get a bit more trimming so that you can get the valve cover off. It technically has enough room already with the clearance we have, but I want to get a little bit more just for being able to service it. The other thing that we had to address, it's kind of hard to see, but I'll put up some other stuff, is the wiper motor was up in there. It needs to go up about 2 inches. So wiper motor's got to move up 2 inches, and then the column is in its stock location. But the hydro boost unit pedal assembly, we actually had to move it over 1.5 inches. And you can see that's the factory bolts to the left there. And we've now moved over this much more to make this all happy. But it looks factory and it's going to work out quite nice. So that's where the front of the truck is at. I don't think I'm missing anything in that little update. We got to get the dash back out so we can start some sheet metal, but I'll show you all underneath that once that's out. Big hole in the floor. That bell housing is large, but it's all going to work out nicely. And on that note, there's a full sheet of some 20 gauge, and that's exactly where we are this morning. We're going to get the box and pan brake set up, and Ryan's going to go to town on building a new firewall doghouse set up for this thing. So we'll take you along for that. And another day, more parts showed up. So we got the heat shielding. This stuff will all be on the firewall and on the inside of the trans tunnel. And then that other stuff that I have that's hiding over there, that quilted Dynamat, will be on the inside. So that should work out nicely. Lockout cable for the shutdown for the Cummins. The shut-off solenoid is non-existent, so it's just going to be on a cable that's lockable. Pretty much standard procedure with the 12 valve. And then our gauge set came in. These are decent. They work out well. For the price, you can't really go wrong. They come with a fuel sending unit, so you've got all your gauges, all the wiring, all the plumbing stuff, and a sending unit for the fuel gauge all in one. The only thing is it's in miles per hour. We're kilometers here in Canada. But for what this gauge set is worth, 1 kilometer per hour gauge is the same price as a full gauge set. So miles per hour it is. It's not hard to convert it when you're driving if you're not totally retarded. And then we've got pyrometer, and we're still waiting on the boost gauge. And we've got all black gauges with white backface. The pyrometer and boost gauge have orange needles, and these have whites, but that's the closest match that we could find to make this all somewhat period correct, because those are kind of old school looking, and we're trying to make it all look nice. And then Ryan is going to end up 3D printing a full new dash bezel. So all of those gauges are going to go in a new surround that Ryan will 3D print, and then that'll go in the dash. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. I think that's it. I think that's where we're at. And keep on plugging away. Got the dash back out. Give you a better shot of here. The big hole that's in here, and that's what I was talking about. The window wiper motor was there, so we just cut it out with a square nicely, and all we're gonna do is just lift it up, I think 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and that'll give us the clearance we need for in there. And you can see the gas pedal is pretty much right on the edge here. We had to trim the floor a little bit more, and that's why we moved over the whole pedal assembly 1.5 inches to get that column to come through there, because the brake pedal was basically right across it, and this was too far over into the bell housing. The starter and stuff is right here, so it's close. And then on that note, Ryan's got his first piece ready to go, and we've got the whole shop converted over to the sheet metal stations now. So we've got the box and pan brake sitting there ready to go, English wheel, shear, shrinker stretcher, and then we've got the pipe anvil that Ryan made for one of our last projects, and the bead roller. That's all designed by Ryan as well, Mr. King of Booty Fab. Those are kits that we make. Big 40-inch throat on that sucker. Still yet to put power on it, but I got a wheel for it. So that's where we're at. Ryan's going to get going on all the sheet metal, and to see the detailed portion of that, check out his channel, because he's doing his own video mostly focusing on just the sheet metal. Another day, another order. A few more things have showed up. We've got that boost gauge showed up, so that kind of matches the gauge set like I was talking about before. And we got one more coming end of the month, and it's the diesel tack. It's a small 2-inch, and it says diesel on it. It's quite nice. And then a 0 to 60 boost gauge. I hate having vacuum on a diesel setup, so that is no vacuum, 0 to 60. This truck being a Cummins upgraded turbo, it should probably be seen somewhere over 30. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to read it correctly. Rock Auto order. So that's a brand new windshield gasket, door seals, and window seals between the door and the glass, because there's nothing even there. Nice battery cables showed up. These are Temco. This is pretty cool. I love getting thank you notes when you order stuff. 100% copper wire, made in the USA, small company. Appreciate it. That's cool. Check it out. That's Temco. 25 feet of red, 25 feet of black. That should get us where we need to go on this truck, front to back, with all the things that we're doing. Universal brake light switches, so one for the clutch safety cancel and one for the brake light. So that's all wired in properly and working. And then Lyle's stainless. Where's the lid? There it is. Every time I do an exhaust, I order it from these guys. They're in Canada as well, and it's like a couple days shipping. It's awesome. So this is all 4-inch 409 stainless, and it's all made in-house. They make everything in-house, and this is all a beautiful 409 stainless 4-inch straight through muffler. So that'll be good. Ryan's been going at the sheet metal. He's got a bunch of the doghouse, well, most of the doghouse pretty much formed up. It's looking pretty slick. It's actually got some shape and some style to it. It's not just a square box shoved in there. He's got some hammer and dolly work to finish up, clean it up, but it's looking pretty good. It's gonna visually look like it came in this truck, following these bead lines and flat. It's getting there. And then the thing that we got to deal with, we ran into, is that we actually didn't have enough room to lift this up. We needed the room. So this is now going to go over here, and we're going to build a new linkage system. So that's going to be pretty cool, but it gives us all the room we need in here. I didn't want to compromise and lose room for the valve covers, because I am big on being serviceable, and that is fully serviceable. I mean, I could even get a socket and a ratchet on those manifold bolts to take all that apart. So that's pretty cool. In my books, that's a win right there. Lots of room. And then we've kicked this back too, so we've got more room for the downpipe to come in there nicely and not have to come straight out, straight down so harsh. See how that works out, but it's all been thought about and planned. We got this side in here, looking good. Mock-up bell housing, starter clearance. You should be able to sit in this truck from the top and pull that starter out and get it all the bell housing bolts as well. That's a nice big trans tunnel that'll be removable for access. That's, again, sweet. I like that. That's where I'm going to leave you off on part 1 of this build. Check out Ryan's King of Booty Fab YouTube for the in-depth sheet metal work. He's got a bunch of video that he took of all that, teach you and walk you through it. And then check back for part 2, because we're going to dive into this truck and start getting everything else wired, plumbed, fabbed, and put this thing back together. We should be driving this truck in a couple of weeks. I'll be excited to see it.